Hi there, in this video I'll be showing you a redesign I did of the Star Wars title card that is in the Star Wars Outlaw trailer. This is for the upcoming game that is coming out in June this year. So with that said, let's get into our project so I can show you the redesign I did and break it down and show you how I created it. All right, so here we are inside of Reaper and actually created 3 redesigns. So let me show you kind of each one that I did because you'll see they kind of starts off not very good and then I think it gets a little bit better. So let's have a listen to the first one here. All right, so those were the 3 redesigns I made. This first one was kind of like a first go at it, first try. It was kind of dry, not very good. So I'm going to leave that there. I don't think we're going to go over that one. But let's go over these last 2 ones here. So we'll open up this one here. So this one, I was trying to replicate a bit closer to what the original sound was. So if we have a listen to the original here. Right, so it's kind of mechanical, kind of low bassy. And that's what I was going for when I was doing my redesign. So if we have a listen here. Right, so I really want to have those large mechanical sounds, clicking sounds, stuff like that. So this is all stuff that I wanted to find from my library, stuff that I had designed and created myself. So why don't we have a look at how I created these? So this first layer here is what I started off with. And by the way, this is, I used NVK Create to create these. So I just searched through my library for some metals, some reload sounds, some click sounds. And this is what I had here for this first go at it here. So I actually had 2 different takes. So I had this first take here, which is kind of blended in here. So I kind of crossfaded them together, but it's like this. Right, so that's the second take. And then the first take here was this one. Right, so a lot more clicking and sounds like some sort of gear or something spinning here. That's this layer here. So why don't we have a quick listen to each of these sounds, and then I'll kind of break down how I process them here. All right, so those were the sounds, but they sound quite different once I start to remove everything. So if I take everything off here, let's have a listen to what it sounded like dry. All right, so everything sounds pretty small, pretty weak, and I really want to make it a lot bigger, larger, heavier. So this is what I did here. So I added these effects here. So let's have a listen to what each of these is doing. Right, so you probably heard that a lot of the changes came from OTT here, where I brought down the highs quite a lot. And then, of course, from the limiter here, I'm just really squashing down everything just to really make it sound crunchy and heavy. Right, so everything just sounds really loud and in your face. All right, so that's the first layer. That's how I created that. And these layers you'll notice here are actually all created very similarly. So if I have a listen to this here. And I think I did the exact same processing on here. The only difference here is that I added a bit of reverb because I wanted to ring out. So if I take this off, right, it sounds very dry and not like it's in a big space. So having that reverb on there is just really making it sound like it's a bit bigger. So there's really not much happening here. It's just 12%, 1.9 seconds of decay, but it's really making it feel like it's huge and big room. So it makes everything, all the sound in here feel a lot bigger. And it's just helping to glue them all together as well. So if we listen to everything individually here. All right, so those are the sounds for this layer here. A lot of them are just from my steampunk pack or my sci-fi sound packs and stuff like that. But yeah, then finally I had this last sound here, which is a sound I recorded of, I think it was a drawer, a metal drawer or something like that. You can even hear a bit of hissing here at the end. It's not the best recording, but it kind of gets across, adds weight to the impact right at the end here. So here I just added some Soothe 2 just to really, I think it was really, really bassy. So if I take all of this off here, like you'll notice here. You have this like ringing bass sound at the end in the tail, and I just didn't want that. So that's what Soothe 2 is doing here. The Kilohertz Shaper is just adding some distortion. And then just recenter to keep it all in the center here. Because it's quite a wide stereo sound. Right, so now everything together. All right, so that's what you got. So I'm just going to close this up here. So that was for this redesign. I was trying to get something closer. For this one here, I was trying to do something a little bit different. I wanted to make it not the same, maybe a similar feel, but not the same. I didn't want it to be so mechanical or metallic. I wanted it to be a bit more electric, especially because here we have like the neon lights and everything. So I was trying to do a different approach. It's different from the original. So if we have a listen to the original again, just to remind ourselves that's what it sounded like. And then here, this is this one here. Right, so quite a bit different. Now I started off with in a similar way. Here you'll notice what I'm doing here is I have metal layers. That's what I started off with. So if I play, and you'll notice I have a lot of similar processing on here. So I have my bass lane as usual. And usually for bass lane, what I've been doing that I really like is I just bring up the frequency all the way up to 2.5. This is a free plugin, by the way, if you don't have it. And then I bring down the width quite a lot, because if not, you're gonna peak too much in the sides in your stereo field. And then I bring the amount pretty much all the way up to 100% or close to it. And then that way it really peaks out, brings out some harmonics around this frequency here at 2.5. After that, just disperser. This is just your basic setting here at 130. Uber loud again, just pushing out the lows. Shaper here, some light distortion. You can see here. I like to bring my mix down to about half, and then I boost up the drive until it sounds good to me. So it's not like too distorted or too rough, but just right. And then again here, this is I bring down my limiter to about -1 dB, and that's it. So if we play everything. So if I play everything without it, oh yeah, and then I have a bit of reverb, and the reverb here is actually off the entire time. The only time it comes in is for this last sound here, this last impact here, because I want it to feel huge. I want it to feel like it's in a big space. So for the rest of the time, it's not even on. So if I play with everything off here, let's have a listen. Right, everything sounds kind of weak and thin, but these make a huge difference. All right, so that is that layer. It's quite distorted, and some of that is coming from this one up here, from this distortion up here, which I'll talk about a bit later because it's actually affecting the entire sound, and I'm also modulating it. So we'll go over that pretty soon. Okay, let's go over the second layer here. It's just adding a little bit of extra sounds, but if I take it off. It's barely noticeable. So it's just a bit of extra sounds in here. I think I was going to try to see if I could use it or line it up in there with some of the different animations. But anyways, it's not doing much. So I won't go over this one too much because it's not even audible or barely audible. This one here, though, is very audible. And these are all the electrical sounds. So a lot of these are in my new upcoming sound pack, which is going to be a whoosh pack. And I created a lot of different electrical sounds for it. So let's have a listen to some of these. All right, so that's one of them. And if I take everything off here, sounds good, but with a shaper, right, it just makes it sound so much grittier. I really like this one. I really like this distortion plugin here. Then a limiter here just to make sure we're not peaking. That's all it's doing there. Right, a bit more here. Here, this one, I don't even have any plugins, just kind of lined it up in there the way I wanted. Same thing with this one here. And same thing with this one. So they're kind of all natural just as they are. And I don't think I have any bus processing on it either. So that's pretty much it. So those are all the layers for this sound. It's pretty simple. It's just a matter of lining up sounds that I thought would work well, maybe adding a bit of distortion. But what was different here is that I added more distortion on top of everything. So let me play you everything together with these off. And as you can probably hear, it's like super loud, super in your face. There's not a lot of movement or there's not a lot of movement in the sound. It's just all in your face. And what I wanted to do is change that a little bit. And I kind of fell into this by accident. I wanted to see what would happen if I put this on. And so I tried this setting here. It's just this convex inside of the shaper here for this distortion plugin. And then what I did is I modulated the mix. So if we have a listen now. So if I bring this down here, I'm just going to turn this off for now. But if I bring it here and I put this all the way up, like you can hear, it's very, very gritty and distorted, and it just lent itself really well to this kind of electrical sound. So I was like, oh, I really like that. That's kind of the sound or the feel that I want to go for this redesign. But I didn't want it to last all the way through like that with the mix at 100. So that's why I decided to modulate it. So that's what it's doing here. So if I take it off, it's like it's all in your face, but with this modulation now, right? It kind of gives it the original impact, and then you kind of have this cadence where you have this 1 and then 2 impacts here. So it's kind of like 1, 2. Anyways, hope that makes sense. But that's kind of what I was going for. So that's what that is doing there, and then of course just a limiter here, make sure everything doesn't peak. All right, so I hope you found that useful and valuable. And it was a bit of a quick one, but hopefully it was nice to be able to see kind of the sounds that I use, layers that I use, how I broke them down, how I inserted them, how I created them using different tools that I have. And yeah, hopefully you learned something, got some value out of it. So if you have any comments, questions, leave it down below. And just a reminder to check out the description down below for the Sound Designer Starter Pack if you haven't already. And if you want to see another video where I do a sound design breakdown, I'll have it on the screen here. So I think that's it for now. Thanks for watching all the way through to the end. I'll see you in the next video.